out of 2 marriages have shown to end in divorce. So have you ever wondered how some of these relationships even arise? How do they start, and how are some of these couples ever even in love at some point in time? Through all the sadness and troubles that occur in today's society, most people still search and long for the affection of love. Most of us find comfort from the simple expression and meaning of it, which is how most relationships arise. Whether it's from family, friends, or spouse, I believe everyone wants and needs love in their life. Most people also feel the need to express it in some way. One unique way that the world has found to express love is through something called love locks. All over the world, there are bridges, fences, and even trees that have these so-called love locks on them. What it consists of is you go out, you buy a padlock, and then you write your name and the person or persons that you love on it, and then you lock it onto the bridge, fence, or tree, and you take the key and you throw it into the river underneath you. And throwing the key into the river represents commitment and eternal love with the names on the lock. So, although some of you are probably thinking this is kind of corny, this tradition has a fascinating history that also consists of some political controversies. However, ultimately, it's something craved in society. Now let me give you a little history as to how these love locks came about. While researching for this speech, I kept coming across 2 stories. One was a Russian folk tale, and it was basically a couple got married, and they went to the Lushkov Bridge in Moscow, and they put the lock on the bridge, and they threw the key into the river and said if either one of them wanted to end the marriage, they'd have to go into the river and retrieve the key. So that was one of them. The other one was a Serbian folk tale, and it was a woman named Nada fell in love with a Serbian officer named Relja, and he went to war in Greece, and he fell in love with another woman. So he broke off his engagement with her, and she basically died right then after, and everyone thought it was because of a broken heart. So all the girls in her community took locks, and they put them on the bridge where they met, and that represented their eternal love. So that was the other one. And although these stories are not proven to be true, they may have actually been the start of something very admirable. But eventually they would cause some controversy. So these bridges became popular in the early 2000s, and controversies mostly consisted of ruining the aesthetics of the bridges. And there are bridges that have these on them that date back from centuries ago, and fencing constantly needs replaced, and the government doesn't like that. So they're trying to stop it altogether, but because society likes it so much, they just haven't done it yet. So also people are stealing padlocks for money, which is another issue. And Yasmin Abdul from Westerly News stated that wildlife and nature is actually being disturbed in the Toronto site for love locks. So let me show you a little video so you can get an idea of what they look like.
Paris may be the city of love, but the Paris city government is très upset with romantic couples hanging locks on bridges over the River Seine. The new custom, which started in Europe in the early 2000s and has now spread as far as Uruguay and Taiwan, calls for lovers to affix a steel padlock to a city bridge to demonstrate their undying love, and then toss the keys into the river. But in Paris, the padlocks get so thick, city architects have ruled, the locks might attract thieves armed with cutters, which might damage bridges dating back to Napoleon and Louis XIV. So
that's a little idea of what those are like. And even though there have been issues regarding these love locks, the art of it has been preserved because of the views and impact it has on society. So society really views these as a permanence of a union. It represents a lifetime of fidelity and commitment, and ultimately it is a representation of eternal love. And I think that people from the world actually thrive off of corny little things like this, because I think it really creates happiness and comfort and hope to people. So, and it's also actually a very important custom to people from other countries that have just gotten married. Most newlyweds actually do this in other countries. So now that you all know a little bit about these love locks, you can see that the concept is actually kind of neat and inspiring. So since these love locks began in the early 2000s, a study found by Jay Dorsey of the Christian Science Monitor found that the divorce rates have actually decreased in the areas that these love locks are on. So just to recap, we went over the possible start and history of how these love locks came about. some of the controversies that they have caused, and society views. So I hope you all learned something kind of new today if you didn't already know about these, and that you're open to the idea and maybe even try it someday. And I would like to end with a simple quote by Audrey Hepburn that I think relates to a lot of people, especially those that partake in this kind of thing. She said, "I was born with an enormous need for affection and a terrible need to give it."